Well,
so guys, first of all, I just want to say that is 8 clean sheets in 12 away games. That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. If only we could keep clean sheets at home, even though we've only lost one game at home, and that's the City. It's still championship winning form. And the pressure's now on City. I'm really happy with that because you got to learn to win ugly, man. Can't play well all the time.
Well, that's how you win leagues, when you win in ugly. That's how you win leagues.
Of course, guys. And look, we had 4 games where we didn't win a match. And it was a purple patch, and we all understand that. The question after the last game was, have we come out of that patch? And we can happily say today that we have. One game doesn't give you a fortune. So, and today, because we've got 2 wins back-to-back, both away from home, I think we can gladly now say that we're out of our purple patch. Tony, what's your thoughts on today's game?
Yeah, as I said, it wasn't pretty, but it's a win. You know, we can now go and enjoy out the rest of our weekends, knowing that we've extended our gap over Man City, even if it is for a few hours. Arteta needs to do something though, because to me, it's a little bit stale in certain parts. Certain players, obviously, we've lamented about Martinelli's play. He's not making that necessary change. You know, I don't know what's going on with Reece Nelson. It's baffling me. I said,
can I comment on that? Can I comment on that, Tony?
Hang on, let me just finish. I said at the end of the transfer window, we need to make it through February somehow, and it looks like we have made it through somehow. This team is going to be so rejuvenated, in my opinion, when Gabriel Jesus comes back into it. But you know, I just think Arteta needs to be able to get tunes out of other players who can come on and make a difference. You know, look, any good team that's won a league has always had a super sub. And I don't know where Arteta finds that.
Yeah, but if he doesn't make the substitutions, how are you going to find a super sub? If you're not making the substitutions to affect the game, like Xhaka could have been replaced by Vieira. He could have given Smith Rowe a little run at. But he's not making them changes. Bro. So you're not going to find a super sub if they're sitting on the bench.
I'm looking at saying, like, literally, if you didn't have a Vieira, a Nelson, somebody has to be able to come on and go, okay, we're a little bit stagnant down the left or the right. Go on, make a difference. And he doesn't seem to be able to make that right now.
Or is it a case of he like Apollo said, he's scared to make the change, or he just doesn't want to do it?
If he's afraid to make the change, I'm sorry, but he's going to run out of options in a week time, because we've got 2 games in a week now. We've got 3 games in a week.
But this would have been the ideal game to make those changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because against Everton, you're going to have to go pretty much the strongest starting 11. Because you see what Everton done to us a couple of weeks ago.
Not going by what they've performed like today.
I forgot what I was going to say now, Tony.
Everton at home is an easy 3 points for us.
We thought that about going away to them.
No, we never win away. We always win at home. We always win at home to Everton. We never win away at Everton. So you just got to look at it. Yeah, they can't play at the Emirates. We can't play at Goodison.
Someone's got something on in the background there at the moment.
No, it's this
I gotta leave you, Paul. I got some running around to do. But guys, it's been great. Good weekend again. Another win. So
yeah,
much to celebrate. We only have what? How many games we have remaining? 14. So if we win 13 out of 14, we win the league.
Yeah. Bertram, did you want to do your player ratings first?
No, because none of them deserve good ratings.
I'm just going to listen to what Ian Wright's got to say.
I'm sorry, they don't deserve it. They were average today, and I hate to be mean to players.
Hold on a second.
And you know how I get, so I won't do a rating. I'll just say we won. I'm happy. There were no 8 standout performers today, and there were no 4s. We were, we're decent. The defense played well. Leicester didn't do anything for it. The competition also, we played down to the competition, frankly.
Right.
Anyway,
So
guys,
good news
enjoy
for
the
you.
weekend.
Bertram, good news for you is there's no 804s in my player rating, so I'll put them up now. I'll go first, guys, and then I'll let you lead on.
So let me run and go. Let me just say one thing before I go, which is I look at all the ratings. 7, 5, 7, 7. I thought Jorginho was a 6. Xhaka 6. Oh, you know, Apollo.
7.
I don't think Jorginho was a 7 today. Xhaka 6. Xhaka was probably a 5, frankly. Odegaard was a 6. Saka 5. Trossard a 6. Martinelli a 7 because he scored, but he would have been a 5 otherwise. And Arteta a 6. He doesn't deserve 7 today. You got to learn how to make changes.
Yeah, the thing is, I felt bad for Xhaka because I've given him 3 5s in the last 3 games. So
he deserved a 5 today because he didn't do much.
And I didn't want to do that because I didn't want you lot to think I was being too biased against him. So there you go.
You got to help me to withstand the pressure. Like I withstand the pressure.
So
guys, have a great weekend, everyone.
You too as well, bro.
Yeah, you too, Bertram.
So finally a clean sheet for Aaron Ramsdale. Finally. How long has he had to wait to keep a clean sheet? So I've gone with a 7 for Ramsdale. Ben White, I've gone for a 5. It didn't look too adventurous going forward. And, I thought he did well against Harvey Barnes. But normally this guy really is the epitome of Saka's performances. And isn't it funny? Saka doesn't perform today and Ben White doesn't get forward. Imagine that. So just goes to show you what's going on the right-hand side. Saliba, I thought he had a so-so day today. He's a little bit sloppy when he had the ball at his feet. But I thought he covered ground really well and his positioning was okay. I thought Gabriel was better out of the 2. And he dealt with all the duels going his way. So I thought he looked solid. I don't think at any one point that we were in any danger, to be honest. Maybe that's down to those 2, or maybe it's down to Leicester's tactics. However, I thought Gabriel had a solid game today. He was literally, I think he's picked my man of the match. In order for him to do that, I'll have to mark Trossard down, which I'm afraid I'm going to have to do. Right. Yeah, so Gabriel's officially my man of the match. And then Zinchenko, captain the team today. I thought he was excellent. I thought he had a really good game. Technical ability was there, but I didn't think the key for me is like he breaks the defense down with his passing, and I haven't seen that in a couple of weeks. He's obviously not been at the top of his game. Gary did mention that practically the whole team had fallen off a cliff, but the results dictate that they're starting to come back. So his form was a little bit steady today, so I'm going to give him a 7. Pretty much the same with Jorginho. I thought that he was commanding in the middle of the park, played some assurance in his role. And look, since he's played for the team, I don't think I've given him anything less than a 7. I think he's been solid in parties. You know, he wasn't outstanding today by any means, but he wasn't poor either. Look, it's a good buy. It's probably one of the best solid. Imagine if we'd have made this buy last year. If we'd have got him when Partey got injured in the back end of last year. Even though we did have El Nene, and I thought El Nene at times was sensational. But Odegaard, I thought there was... Who's a better
player? Who's a better player for you, Apollo? Just you mentioned El Nene. El Nene again, or Jorginho. Who are you picking?
Jorginho. And I'm a big El Nene fan, but Jorginho...
Who are you picking, Gal?
Come on, 3rd Ballon d'Or, All-Europa team, first 11, Champions League.
I'm not talking about the player 2 years ago. I'm talking about...
Jorginho.
Well, to me, he's still the same player now that he was. He doesn't.
I thought Jorginho was pretty solid today.
Yeah, he's never been athletically, productive.
Yeah,
he's always.
Jorginho.
Yeah, he's always been the same in terms of his role and the energy levels. He's doing what he's doing with Chelsea. Funny, we have to talk to David and find out his opinion. But I spoke to a few Chelsea fans that I know, and they said he's been doing with what he does with you guys, which is what he's done with us over the last 4 years.
I'll tell you what Dave. I'll tell you exactly what Dave said about Jorginho, because I've got it in a WhatsApp message. Let me just access it very quickly. Dave Footy, Jorginho, passed it. That was his opinion. Jorginho is past it.
Sounds like sour grapes to me. He's
No,
only 31.
because he gets to see
I
him
was just going to say
every week.
exactly the same thing.
He gets to see him every week.
So do we now, and I've been impressed.
Yeah, he's not
I've been
playing
impressed
every
with
week.
what he's done since he's come into the team.
Guys, we've only seen 2 games.
We've seen 4 games.
He's only played in 2 games.
Yeah,
bro.
but
he's only played in 4. He played.
but when Partey got injured,
yeah,
he's played more than 2.
he played 4 games.
No, it must be 3 or 4. It's 3 or 4.
No, he played.
But when
he started
Partey got
and
injured,
finished 2
we was
games.
all dreading it.
He started and finished 2 games.
Hold on, I'll just break that down. I don't.
You know, he come on against Everton.
Yeah.
He come on against
Hold on,
Everton where we lost.
Hold
He
on,
played
I'll tell
against
you.
Man City. He's played today,
Yeah, so he played.
and there
2
must be
games.
one more.
He's played in 2 wins and 2 losses,
Right, so
basically.
Oh, listen,
he played. Right, here it is. I got it here. So he played against Everton, 31 minutes. He played 90 minutes against Man City, 90 against Aston Villa, and 90 minutes against Leicester today. So that's 4 games.
Okay, so
That's what I said.
3 games. Oh, let's call it 3 games.
So overall, and I'm looking at his grades here.
and 90 minutes
they're
today.
pretty much solid.
4 games.
Yeah. He's pretty much solid across the board in terms of his grades. My point is, though, is that
Listen,
you're only ever asking him to do a job. You know, if you look at the great players like Pirlo and all of those guys, they don't do much running. Their game's about positioning. It's about intelligence. It's about, you know, where the ball goes, when does it go there, and about managing the midfield. And he's doing just that. And, you know, it's funny to say, for an Arsenal fan to say, good afternoon, Alex. For a Chelsea fan to say he's fallen off the ball because he's doing the same thing for us. Well, he's not played much for Chelsea from what I'm looking at. He's hardly played for Chelsea this season. Just looking down at it now. Yeah, he's hardly featured for them.
well, do you know what it is? You know what it is, guys? When it's much like when Real Madrid sold Ozil, Cristiano Ronaldo was furious because he was the guy that set up the goals. Now, all the Chelsea players, from what we read, are so upset that Jorginho has been forced out the club. So that's how highly rated he was within the players.
Yeah, but
So
check
it
it
tells you
out,
that
Gary.
he's a decent player.
Gary, I'm on Who Scored, and his last few games for Chelsea, it was an 8 out of 10 against Liverpool, which was a draw, and they beat Palace, and he got 7.5 out of 10. That's his last 2 games. So for a Chelsea fan to say he was atrocious,
Which tells you he's a
but
decent player. Listen, when
but yet
players,
he was
when your teammates get upset when you leave the club, that shows you that you're a decent player.
he was their highest rated player in both of those last 2 games that he played in. And a Chelsea fan says he was atrocious. It just goes to show, innit? Sour grapes, Tony. Sour grapes, I think, on that one. Where was I? I was talking about, let me try and find out where I was. Jorginho.
Listen, I've been impressed with him since he's come into the team.
Me too.
I've been impressed since he's come into the team. We was all dreading when Partey got injured, and he's kind of made the transition a bit easier without Partey. He's not going to be a Thomas Partey, but he does what Jorginho does.
Yeah, my rating with Xhaka is a 6. In the last 4 games, I've given him a 4 and 3 5s, and he's not. I'm trying to be nice here. He's not imposing himself on games. He's oblivious in the makeup defensively. He's not getting involved. I mean, today he was slightly better. I thought he was slightly better because I saw him actually touch the ball a few times in the final third. But he's really a non-factor in the games. And I think this touches to the point that Tony was talking about, and I'm going to be a little bit more fairer on Arteta, because I think Arteta has started to change things up. It's not the change that fans might have wanted. It's not heavy rotation, but it's light rotation. It all started back where Tomiyasu should have started against Brentford, and he didn't. So he started Tomiyasu, he started Trossard, he started mixing a few players in there. So we've been seeing 1 or 2, but for me, taking out one player and replacing them with another is not what I would call a fix. The team needs at least 3 players taken out. And that was Martinelli, Xhaka, and Ben White. And the problem, and I'm leading into the Manchester City game now, where we only saw one change again in that game. And I think it's time you play Fabio Vieira. I don't know what you're looking at in training that's not making you play this guy over Xhaka, because they watch the games twice. They watch a footage on a Monday morning, and then they do an overview again at late Monday afternoon in training. So when they go back on a Monday at London Coney, it's not so much as a physical day for them. It's a lot of paperwork, review, one-to-ones about the games. So they know what Xhaka's doing in the game. They know what he's not doing in the game. And this is the reason why you're seeing guys getting dropped. We've seen Martinelli getting dropped. We've seen Ben White getting dropped. Nketiah was replaced today. So all these things are happening because they're seeing what we're seeing. And they're seeing it in a classroom, going over the footage. They're talking about the games every instance, slowing it down, saying what they did right, what they did wrong. I was talking to Colin yesterday, and he was telling me he sat in one of their sessions. And when he sat in one of their sessions, it reminded me of, and again, I'm going to the NFL, and I might be going a little bit off topic here for you guys, but the Washington have just bought Eric Bieniemy, who was with the Kansas City Chiefs and won 2 Super Bowls with them. And what Arteta was doing after a game, when a player scored and had a good game, all Arteta was talking about was what you could have done to improve your game. And sometimes it makes the player leave the room thinking, hold on a second, I thought I did amazing today. But it wasn't just that. It was always that extra step about what you can do to be better. What can we do to improve your game? Even if you've been man of the match, it's that little step forward. This is what I think you could have done there. This is where I think you could have done there. Put it all on a USB, give it to the player, let him go home and analyze that. Analyze your play and see where you could have improved. That's what's happening right here. And so each of these players are getting film logs of where they can improve. And that's why we're seeing some changes. I don't know. Look, I think a lot's going to happen against Everton in the midweek. There's going to be quite a few changes. I would like to see Vieira start in that game. But, you know, overall, you're right, Tony, in an aspect that he's got to change it up. But I've been seeing those changes incrementally over a week. And for me, it's just not enough. You make a very small change, it's not going to make that much of a difference. However, let's pat the team on the back and give them a thumbs up, because they're out of the purple patch now. They've gone 2 games away from home back-to-back, and they're winning now. So Tony's just put something up that's saying, on Vieira, he's starting to give me big headaches because every single day I see what he's capable of doing. Tremendous player. And so why would you leave that on the bench for a player who's not affecting the game? That's my question. He understands exactly what we want. Physically, he's in a condition to compete at the level. So there's no question. He's taken the only intangible out of the argument, which was he's a lightweight. And quite frankly, I never bought that excuse in the first place, because I said he's a lightweight that produced 17 goals and assists for Porto in the Champions League. That don't sound like a lightweight to me. That's an excuse. If he's doing that against Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Bayern Munich and all them teams, how dare we put that on an excuse and say, oh, well, Arteta's not playing him because he's a lightweight. That's rubbish. I've seen players smaller than him do way, way, way better in the Premier League, because it's got nothing to do with his physical attributes. It was, I think, more about understanding what Arteta expects from that role. I think that's probably what it was. But hey, we'll see. Where's my player ratings gone? Here they are. So for me, let's go to Odegaard. Odegaard, I'm going to give a 7.
You missed out the last bit of the quote there. Just why it's still up there, because it's the second part of the quote.
Yeah, so I do think he'll do really well in the league.
If he needs to compete for 30 balls in the air in this league, I think he's going to lose 28. But if we give him the ball in the right spaces and put him in front of goal, the amount of times we want to do, I think he will do really well in this league. So, you know, this is what you have to do as a coach. You have to make sure he gets the ball where he needs it, and the way he needs to play needs to be integrated into our system of play.
Yeah, but the game today was a perfect opportunity for that. There was so much space out there. It was the perfect opportunity for him to get on the ball. He's
What
not
does
going to
that
get that
remind you
time
guys?
against Everton.
What does that remind you guys of? Remember when we had the Three Musketeers? Remember when we had Riziki, we had Kleb or Nasri and D'Artagnan and Fabregas, and Wenger said we don't like playing the ball through the air. We have to keep the ball on the ground because that's where we do most of our damage. It's kind of a little bit like that. It's physical in the sense that we can stand toe-to-toe with anybody in the midfield because we have Thomas Partey. But it's nominal in the sense that you have to keep the ball on the ground because that's where our players do their best work. So it kind of reminds me of Wenger's Three Musketeers there. I know we say three, but there was four Musketeers, and there was definitely four Arsenal midfielders just running rampant on defences with Robin van Persie and Theo Walcott ahead of them. So for me, guys, Saka, I think it might go down as one of his most quiet games of the season. Wow, he was anonymous in this game. I didn't recall one instance where I thought, obviously he had the penalty shout, which I thought should have been his, and he's been getting those non-calls for weeks now. It's not a surprise. It's just what's happening with him lately. He's just getting nothing from referees. And it doesn't have to be penalties. It's just free kicks. He's getting nothing. Against Man City at the Emirates, I saw him getting fouled time and time and time again. The referee just wasn't having it. And the one time Saka made a foul on their player, he got yellow carded. It was just like, what are we doing here? Someone has to go to the FA and show this evidence. They have to walk them through this footage where this guy's getting kicked 7 bells out of, and the one foul he makes, you give. Not only do you give it a free kick, but you card him as well. So look, this is really unfair. And if I was working for Arsenal, I would investigate this. I would put this to a panel and get it investigated because it's gone beyond ridiculous now. And Martinelli, Trossard. I give Trossard a 7. It's a shame the goal was ruled out because it really sort of tipped off what his performance was about. Just lovely, well-placed balls in the final third. Teed up for the goal, great finish on his right foot. He's 2-footed, so it doesn't matter. He can go either way. He's kind of a 69 of players, if you know what I mean, Gary. Boom, boom. And I just think that he's got so much talent across the whole line and at the 8 and at the 10 that you really are a better team when you play this guy in the first 11. I find it hard to leave a player like him on the bench because he gives you so much from so many different positions. It's hard to bench the guy like this. It really is. We got a steal here, guys, with such a talent, and he's no good to us on the bench. He really isn't. So that's all I'm going to say about him, but I'm going to give him a solid. It was a 7.5. I had to knock him down to give Gabriel man of the match, but it could have gone either way with him or Gabriel. And then Martinelli, I've given a 6. It would have been a 5, but he scored a goal. So, and it was a winning goal. It was a goal that gave us all 3 points. But his performance is so erratic. I mean, there's no thought process behind what he's doing with the ball. As I said to you, you know when a player's confused because they're standing right next to their opponents, against their teammates, sorry. You're not supposed to be standing next to a teammate when you're on the pitch. It's a gap game. It's a zone game. You control a certain part of the pitch. So if you're standing next to your teammate consistently, that tells me that you actually don't know what you're supposed to be doing. So what, from a mental standpoint, I don't think he knows where he is, let alone where the ball's supposed to go. And I can only put it down to the fact that Jesus is not on the pitch, because that's the only deciding factor in his performances pre-World Cup to post-World Cup. And Arteta, I'm going to give him a 7. I would love to give him an 8, but I can't because it wasn't a great performance. But you went away in a hostile environment where last week they beat Spurs 4-1 at home, and then you practically played them off the park. I know the performance wasn't great, but I showed you guys the stats, especially in the first half. It took Leicester 80 minutes before they had a single shot, and they weren't even in the game. So you got to give Arsenal credit for the domination, really. It's just a shame the performance didn't cap it off. I'll go straight to Gary on this because it looks like Tony's still doing his stats. Gary, you got the conch.
Yeah, Happy with the win, obviously. Big 3 points. Not totally worried about the performance because at the end of the day, what matters is when that final whistle blows, if you won or lost or drawn, obviously. But as far as the performance goes, I still think we need to see Arteta making a few more changes, player-wise. You know, Xhaka has obviously gone off the boil since he's come back from the World Cup. He's not affecting games. You know, there's a couple of instances in the last couple of games where he's had that opportunity to shoot on his left foot, edge of the area, just inside the area, and he's declined. And we're trying to play that one pass too much. Martinelli seems like he's fallen off a cliff. You wouldn't believe it was the same player of, you know, beginning of the season or last season. He just looks lost. Trossard, more than happy with Trossard. More than happy when we signed him, and I agree with you, Apollo. I think he's a really good player, and when he's on the bench, he's wasted. Defensively today, I thought Ben White had a shocker. Was lucky to play the whole 90 minutes. I thought Saliba was okay. Probably just shaded Saliba. Zinchenko had a quiet game. Ramsdale had nothing to do. Saka didn't even know he was on the pitch, to be honest. He should have had a penalty in the first half. Was lucky with the offside goal. Martinelli just about offside. Jorginho done okay. Wasn't really tested, but he was always seemed to be in the right place at the right time, and that's what he brings to the team when Partey's obviously absent. So, all in all, not a great performance, but the main thing is we got the 3 points, which is what we were after. So my player ratings, obviously Ramsdale, I'm going to give him a 6. Had nothing to do. Ben White, he's going to get a 4. Zinchenko gets a 4. Saliba 6. Gabriel 7. Who else we got there? Jorginho gets a 6. Trossard gets a 6. Martinelli gets a 6. Saka gets a 6. Arteta 6. I just don't think he just doesn't make the changes when necessary. You know, perfect game for Vieira today. There was so much space in that midfield. Odegaard looks tired. He gets a 5. And I just think Arteta's got to be brave. And sometimes you've got to say, look, it ain't your day today. You know, let's get you off. Let's give this guy 15, 20 minutes. You know, so much space. Vieira's that player. We just saw what he said. You know, give him the ball in the right areas. Today, he would have had the run of the play out there. You know, he would have found himself in pockets of space, sliding little balls through for on runners. But if he's on the bench, he ain't going to do that. So Arteta gets a 6 today. My man of the match, to be honest, I wouldn't know who to give it to. I don't think anyone stood out today well enough. But if I had to give it to anyone, I would probably give it to Gabriel as well, to be honest. I think he just was slightly shaded Saliba. They was never in trouble. But, you know, it was a poor performance from everyone today. But we got the win. And like I said, that's all that matters. So that's my team ratings.
So reading some comments up before I go to Ebony and Tony. Cam says, can't argue with Apollo's ratings. Trossard did very well. Lucky goal got Varad, and was intelligent with his assists. He gets a nod for MVP, most valuable player. That's an American term. G says, Bournemouth starting 6 defenders. Damn, that's 3-0 to City. We looked so much better in general play with him out there. Trossard deserves another crack at it. G says, I felt that we should have put the game away to bed within 60 minutes, though early. Last 15, 20 minutes, we got a bit sloppy. Leicester didn't do enough to deserve anything out of the match. And who gets credit for that, G? We do. Credit to Gabriel. He tends to fly a bit under the radar when it comes to praise, but he's turning into a really solid cornerback these days. He's definitely been better than Saliba lately. Pre-World Cup, Saliba was easily not just better than him, but better than any centre-back in the entire league. Cam says the front three actually looked like a unit with Trossard. Immediately became giveaway central after his substitution. Eddie starts for me, but Trossard on the left. And then he says our dominance didn't quite translate to the score. These are the wins that champions are made of, starting to count us out. No matter what the final outcome is, we're here to play until the very end. Ebony, because Tony's still working on stats at the moment.
All right. I will say that, Arteta needs to get into making subs early. I'm sick and tired of these 80 minutes, 85 minutes, 82 minutes. It's like, there are players on the pitch that look tired. They're not performing well. Get them off at a decent time. And a decent time is literally half time. I thought from what I saw, because my streaming wasn't very good, I thought Ramsdale did okay. There were times when I wish he would actually pick the ball up and kick it out rather than do what Bernd Leno used to do and just wait until the opposing player comes too close. And he did. And in the footage that I saw today, he did that quite a lot, and it's really worrying. He's a brilliant goalkeeper, but he needs to know when to play the ball out with his feet. He needs to know when to pick the ball up and kick it out. So I'm going to give him a 6. Ben White, he was atrocious. The amount of, from what I saw, he just allowed his man to run past him. I'm giving him a 3. Saliba, he does what he does. Maybe he was a bit sloppy today, so I'm going to give him a 6. Gabriel was a bit better than him, and he is he's actually quite good at what he does. So I'm going to give him a 7. Zinchenko, leader at the back. I think we look a lot safer when he's in the team, to be honest. I'm going to give him a 7. Jorginho, sluggish, slow. He made a couple of good passes, but quite frankly, he just looks slow and sluggish. So I'm going to give him a 6. Erdegaard, didn't really see much of him, so I'm just going to give him a standard 5. My godson, he didn't really feature that much in the game, to be honest. So I'm going to give him a standard 5. Who else was there? Can you put the banner up, please?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Trossard, I love the guy. I think, he would look really good in a central position. So I'm going to give him a 7. Martinelli scored a goal. I thought he was sloppy today, but he did score a goal. So I'm going to give him a 6. And Arteta, I'm going to give him a 6. He needs, like I said, he needs to start making these subs early. Okay. And it's looking like, he also needs to drop some players as well. Ben White being one of them. I think he's looking tired. Who else needs to be dropped? And I do agree that Vieira needs to be brought on. If he's making that statement about Vieira, then he needs to start. So, and I also think today that we could have actually done with Tierney on the left today. I really do.
He has to start. He's been left out too long now.
Exactly. It's like if what's his name? If Ben White isn't doing what he's supposed to be doing, bring on Tierney. It's like because Ben White was our worst player today, in my opinion. He was actually our worst player. So So he should have actually made that substitution. He should have made it in half time or maybe in about 60 minutes and bring on Tierney, who is better in that position than Ben White. I'm not saying that Ben White is bad. I just thought that, he wasn't very good today.
Yeah, and let's go to 18 says, I agree with Ebony. It's situational, though. Subs should work depending on the scoreline at the time. G says, Fulham after Sporting away will be tricky. Let's see how much Arteta will rotate these two for the Premier League games. Oh, no, for European. Is that right? Yeah. Would be great to have Jesus back. He's back, bro. He's back. He was left out and told he weren't going to make the bench today out of precaution because they don't want to rush him back. I don't think Leicester away is a game you want to rush him back in, and probably even Everton, although I wouldn't be shocked if I saw him on the bench on Wednesday. So we can rotate between Saka, Jesus, Martinelli, Trossard, Nketiah, Smith Rowe, and between Jorginho, Partey, and Xhaka. Yep. Ashley, good to see you, bro. Says greetings. Another important away win. Can't wait to get Jesus back. He'll be a much needed oil in to the tiring machine and get him firing up again. Yeah, I think, like I said, the next 3 away games, and including today, actually, let's just pull up. Let's just pull up what we're talking about here in terms of the fixtures. Everton at home and Bournemouth at home. I don't think those are games that you really need Jesus back for. And I mean starting. I'm happy to put him on the bench. If you want to give him a 5-10 minute run out to make sure his injury holds up and stuff, then I don't mind doing that. But get him ready for Sporting Lisbon on the 9th of March. Get him ready for that game, because the game after that is Fulham away, which is 3 days. So you can start to do a lot with your rotation, but you really, really want Jesus back to play in that Europe game. You really want him back. The 2 Premier League games against Everton and Bournemouth are both at home, both winnable, and I don't think that that's something you need to... I mean, it's one thing having a player back and it's nice, it's happy, and he's around the guys, but you need to understand that there are games down the stretch where we're going to need him. The longer you leave him out, the better it will be for us. And I know everybody wants to see him play, including me, but just take your time with this. Don't rush it, man.
I think you're 100% bang correct.
Yeah. 18 says, Ebony says Trossard will look good in a central position. Go on with the puns. Oh, no. You're so dirty. I don't even know. I didn't even read that before. Otherwise, I would have left it. Cam says, Asher, you're such a naughty boy, aren't you? Listen, she don't want you, boy. She don't want you. Cam says,
behave.
Cam says, the performance was fine. It was the disgusting referee that flattered Leicester, who did not. This is the thing. Like, we're all sitting around here saying we didn't play well, but we played well enough to nullify it, Leicester.
You know, that Leicester, that referee.
To be honest,
how many fouls did Leicester get, and not one red card or not one yellow card?
But Leicester beat Spurs 4-1 there last week.
I don't.
But to be honest, Apollo,
they were absolutely.
We see how teams play against us now. They're not going to be expansive against Spurs. You can afford to be expansive because Spurs are a counter-attacking team. We play on the front foot. So them beating Spurs 4-1 is no relevance on the game that they played today. They couldn't afford to play like that against us.
Yeah. Because we get at you,
it's 2 completely different games.
We get at you. We get in your face. We rush you. We rondo you. And we make it uncomfortable for you to play.
Yeah, but they get frustrated to the point where they start injuring players. And it's like, well, you know.
The Leicester game plan today was stay in the game for as long as possible. And come 75, 80 minutes, they started to expand. They started to press us. They started to come forward, long balls into the channels. That was their game plan. It didn't work, because they obviously couldn't get near our goal. Shot, I think they had one effort, which was off target.
They only actually came alive when Vardy came on.
Let's address the elephant in the room. Yeah, let's address the elephant in the room. The fact of the matter is Brentford showed the Premier League a way how to play Arsenal over the top by nullifying their press in midfield. And in order to do that, you have to have the centre forward, in order to make that happen. You've got to have someone who's big, strong, can look after the ball, bring others into play to take advantage of that. Not just that as well, is you need to make sure that you catch Saliba on a day off, because against Brentford, he had a day off. And the next game against Man City, he played Haaland off the park. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anyone from BBC or any of the pundits say. He completely played Haaland off the park. And it was only when Haaland went off to the other side, away from Saliba, that he was able to get his goal and that he gave something to the game. But Saliba played him off the park. So
we was talking about that, Apollo, during the stream. And wouldn't you have been encouraged to say to Gabriel, go across with him? He's your man.
Yeah, I would. I would have done that. Yeah, I would. Because with somebody, with the thing with someone like City is, you're not playing City, you're playing Haaland. And that's reflective by the amount of goals he's got for them and the lack of goals from everywhere else. So it's like in the NFL, Tony, when you got an all-pro wide receiver. You tell your cornerback, you're not playing left cornerback today. You're going where he goes. Yeah, you remember Deion Sanders, yeah? Remember prime time? I don't play in a position. I just play a man. Yeah? You put me on the best receiver on that team, that's my job for the day. That's what you pay me the millions for. I don't play in a position. I don't have a tag to say I'm in this part of the field. You just put me where you need to put me. And I think essentially when you have a defender as good as both of them, you know, let's be complimentary to both of them. I think that, yes, Ivan Toney is a challenge for anybody, but outside of Ivan Toney, I don't think there's anyone as good as him in terms of holding up the ball. So I don't really see us under that kind of pressure. My point is that you play against Aston Villa last week, they got Ollie Watkins, who isn't Toney. And then you play today against Iheanacho, who isn't Ivan Toney. So teams are going to try to play that advantage that other teams have had success against us, and they're going to come up short. Because it's one thing having a tactic to say this is what can hurt Arsenal, and it's damn sure another thing to actually implement it if you don't have the right players. So that's the reason why I think there's going to be trouble there, Gary. Ebony, I'm going to let you carry on with your ratings.
Yeah, no, I'm done. I just think that, you know, we could have done with ESR today as well. Because maybe, you know, take off
Exactly.
on ESR.
Yeah, I don't know why he's not giving him 5 minutes at least.
Yeah.
Leata says it's great to have a few big boys in the midfield and hopefully get one more in the summer. Bro, this team is getting stronger and stronger. They just got Partey back. Smith Rowe is back. Nelson wasn't on the subs bench, which was a head scratcher today. We could have done with him. Saka was quiet. I would have taken Saka off and put on Nelson. I mean, this is one of those games. Jesus is going to be back. We're now at a position where we can interchange Nketiah, so he won't be as tired before. Bro, look, it's gonna get a lot better. And this is where when we rotate, we start to see who turns up. Yeah, you're not stuck with the same 11 every week now. You're just seeing who, you know. Tony, another NFL reference, running back by committee. Give them 2 to 3 carries and see which one you're going to lean on for the rest of the day. And that's what it's going to be like in this situation. Ashek says, Leicester was so open against United, and today they were incredibly compact. Teams have a set plan against Arsenal. Yeah, they did before the purple patch. And I think we're getting to that point. If we can win a few more games, Ashik, then it will force teams to back off us again. Because in our tremendous run, when we was winning every week, that's what teams were doing. Teams were afraid to commit men forward to us because we would just ping them back and hit them on the counter. And it also says it's because Arsenal have the most errors leading to goals and teams rely on it now. Yeah, pretty much, especially over the last month. Tony, you got the conch.
Well, right. In terms of overall play, I just want to bring up a couple of things. They're going to be self-explanatory, to be honest. Let me get rid of that. Okay. Oh, sorry. We were thinking along the same thing at the same time. So there we go. Jorginho had the most touches. He had the most passes complete. He had the 10 times possession won, which was the most. And he also made the most tackles. It's really funny how in a game of football in 90 minutes, 3 passes is the most tackles by any player on the pitch. But it just goes to show that actually the art of tackling is about positioning. If you position yourself in the right place, you make a lot of clearances, which is what Gabriel and Saliba are very good at. 7 duels, 1 interception, 1 foul, 1. I move on.
I do want to say something about that, Tony, because people in the chat might understand how it works. The tackling stat has been changed over the last few years in the Premier League, actually quite a while ago now. This comes down to a factor of tackling, duels won, and aerial duels won. And that's the reason why it's... So basically, if a ball comes to you when you're in a tight space and you win it, that's not counted as a tackle, it's counted as a duel won. And that's the reason why, while it looks that the player's doing a little bit more, it goes to another statistic. It's a little bit silly in the way how they do that, but this is what the managers need, because they eye these stats for exactly every little pinpoint statistic they need in order for them to understand what their players are doing. So yes, he's probably made more tackles than 3. It's just that it will be split over different categories. I just wanted to explain that.
Yeah, cool. So the next that we got is quite an interesting one, because with Gabriel Martinelli now scoring in the league, he's now on 9, equal with Bukayo Saka. Look at that, top under 21 players in Europe's 5 divisions. 3 of them are Arsenal players. Fantastic.
Brilliant.
There were just 4 shots in the second half. Arsenal had 3 and Leicester had just 1, which was their only effort of the entire game. But interestingly, no shots for Arsenal in the final 30 minutes plus injury time. Wow. No shots.
Yeah,
that's worrying, because last week, as I said, we had 4 shots in the first half. We had a further 16 in the second half, which could be tactical. Look, we totally battered Aston Villa last week in the second half. This week we were shot shy, and we didn't create as much in the second half. Whereas, when you came on and you said, well, look, we're a second half team. We are a second half team, but we didn't really show it today. So I
think he went conservative. I think he definitely.
Yeah. I mean, that's a statistic that makes me just a little bit wary. Makes me think, you know what, we have got to sharpen up that for Wednesday. We've got to sharpen it up for all the rest of the games for the season, to be honest. To be stifled that way, means that Arteta needs to start looking and as you just alluded to, improve his rotation, improve his XG, because that affects XG. If you're not creating opportunities and not having shots, then your XG goes down, and we need to improve on that. I'm just watching the Man City game at the same time, so forgive my thing. Now, I saw some stats come up on today's games, and I just thought, let me have a look at this statistic, bearing in mind that this is a player who has been earmarked as potentially, as a potential big move for us in the summer. So today, West Ham won 1-0. Declan Rice scored, which is his second goal of the season.
They won 4-0.
They won 4-0, and he scored. But this was his highest number of goals scored in a season, apparently. So Declan Rice has never scored more than 2 goals in a season. Not really sure, but it was funny, because I look at the
probably not better player for West Ham.
Yeah. So you look at those stats, and obviously it kind of gives you a little.
Playing for West Ham, he's probably not going to score more goals than 2.
Yeah.
It's down to what the manager trains them to do, really, isn't it?
Well, not really, because if you're a good scorer of goals,
that's down to how the manager gets them to play. That West Ham have scored with the 4 today. West Ham have only scored 23 goals all season.
Yeah.
23 goals in 24 games West Ham have scored this season in the Premier League.
Wow.
They was on 19 before today.
Wow.
And
So
if you look at Jorginho last season in the Premier League for Chelsea had 6 goals and 2 assists. The year before that, he had 7 goals and 1 assist. And then before that, he had 4 goals and 2. So he's been, So and obviously he used to take some penalties for them as well. Not all of them, but some of them.
So I mean, those are the highlight statistics that really I thought, well, I'll bring that to the table today. There's not a lot else really. I didn't think anybody was outstanding over anybody else. I can't name a man of the match, I'm afraid to say. because nobody
thought it
Yeah,
was
I
really
struggled.
nobody stood out above another player. Yeah, I mean, nobody had a poor game.
No, I disagree with that. I think there was a couple of poor performances.
Yeah,
White being
Martinelli.
one of them.
I think we was quite
Martinelli.
sloppy in the final third today. We was quite sloppy. You know, Odegaard overrunning balls, passing when they should be shooting, shooting when they should be passing.
Mm,
You know, it was quite sloppy, but
yeah,
we got the win.
Oh.
That's the main thing. That's all that counts.
absolutely. So yeah, I mean, overall, you know, I'm not gonna really do gradings because you know they're 5, 6s, and 7s. Do want to talk about Trossard's ruled out goal, because had it not been offside by Martinelli, we would have been gloating about a worldie, because it was such a great
That was a
goal.
foul by Ben White, wasn't it? It wasn't offside. It was a foul by Ben
Sorry,
White.
yeah.
Silly foul. You know, hold him, but then at the point when he starts to jump, just let go.
Yeah.
Stupid.
So,
I'm just shocked the
unfortunately-
referees could find that, and they've been missing everything else.
Yeah. So just a shame that one was ruled out, because that would have been a beautiful goal for us to be gloating about and saying how good a game he's had. Because I thought he had a decent game today, and I'm glad that we've got him. I'm very glad that we got him.
Yeah, I'm glad you are, because I know how much the January transfer market meant to you. And to pick up,
City just gone 1-0 up.
oh god,
There's a surprise.
and to see Jorginho come in and Trossard, who are actually adding to the squad. I'm really happy that you're happy with him as a player.
Yeah. I mean, Jorginho, yeah, I mean, he is an extension of what I said last week. He's Mr. Efficient. You know, he's not going to set the world on fire with death-defying through balls, but what he does it effectively and efficiently. And yeah, I'll take that.
It's funny, in his first game against Brentford, I said to Gary at the end of the game, I said he was anonymous, I didn't see him much. I watched the game again, and he just looked quality. He just looked like he wasn't wasteful. His ball playing was progressive, and he just looked adept at building up play. And I've started to like him ever since. Got 2 questions here. Ashik says, Declan Rice or Jude Bellingham? Bellingham for me all day, mate.
Yeah, Bellingham.
Yeah,
agree.
Hey, here's the other question: Declan Rice or Caicedo?
Rice.
Caicedo.
Yeah, because yeah.
Cam says,
It'll be an interesting. I mean, at the moment, Dortmund are absolutely rampant, and Jude Bellingham is not the only star in that team. I mean, I don't know if you guys have been watching them, you know, this season, but literally they have been rampant.
Cam says,
Dortmund have got a lot of good players. Again.
Yeah, Cam says, Xhaka or Jorginho? That's easy for me. Jorginho.
In what role?
Jorginho's.
Yeah.
It would have to be the 6, wouldn't it?
They're
Because
totally different players.
yeah,
You might as well be comparing Ben White to Leandro Trossard.
So
I'll leave that one alone.
So guys, don't put your money on Xhaka at the 8, because he's been playing there this year and he's just filling in a role. Be sure that is probably the first role to change position in this new setup that we're going to see moving forward in this young team. The team is still
better
growing.
in that role, though. He's been better in that role than in his previous role.
He was for the first half of the season, but since after the World Cup, he's been anonymous. And he's not reverting back to the old Xhaka, because he's not in a position to. He's not playing in that 6, but has an 8. He's ineffective at the moment. And maybe if it was 1 or 2 games, we could say he's going for a patch. But it's been 4 or 5 games now. It's been 6 games actually. So it's time for a change. And someone like a Fabio Vieira has made his living playing at the 8 and the 10. So I don't know what's taken Arteta long enough. Jorginho, though, has got 39 goals in the 6, and I believe Xhaka's only got 20, 25, 26 or something like that. It's just 2 different players as well. Xhaka doesn't have, in my opinion, it's the temperament to control the game. He plays well in spots, but he's not the go-to type player. So what I mean by that is you depend on Partey to control a game. You depend on Rodri to control a game. You depend on Casemiro to control a game. If you're dependent on Xhaka to control a game, that's where we've gone wrong over the last 4 years. Yeah, it just isn't going to do it for you. He's just not commanding enough, especially in possession. And as a ball winner, he's one of the most reckless ball winners that we've had. He's got better. He's not going in to tackles the way he used to. Certainly not too fitting opponents anymore. Wenger and then Arteta have got him out of that. I remember in his first 2 years, Wenger said to him, don't go down on the floor when you're tackling the player anymore, and then you'll stop your red cards. People forget how many red cards this player's got since this came into the Premier League, more than any other player. So there's certain coaching things that Arteta has done to keep Xhaka out of problems. But there's one thing taking those elements out of his game, and there's another thing fitting him in in a way that he can help you. But look, it's patchwork. But what we need is someone who can properly play that 8 role. And you had that in Sambi. Yeah, that Sambi's grooming to be in that position. Smith Rowe can play there and has been excellent in that Aaron Ramsey position, as I've always said. Joe Willock's not here anymore, but he could play the 6 or the 8. And then, like I said, it's so many options that you have in that 8 role now, you're almost spoilt for choice. But I think the frustration is Arteta's putting him in there every week. He has been taking him off every game. Yeah, he never used to take off Xhaka until 5 games ago. Now Xhaka's coming off every game. So there's a slight change in Arteta's mindset with Xhaka. He's starting to see what we can see. And it's only a matter of time before he replaces the position as a whole.
Mm.
So
right,
guys,
gents, I'm going to have to go because I've got to go to the boxing. So I will check out.
Yeah, I was about to check us all out, guys. So, look, it's full-time Arsenal now. It wasn't pretty, but it's a big win. It's 2 back-to-back away wins. Martinelli's goal after the half has proved decisive for us to go 5 points clear. City's playing now. But as it stands, Arsenal 5 points clear. And we've got our game in hand on Wednesday. If we win that, it's going to be excellent. And then it's here from it. We're in the latter stages of the league, guys, now. 15 games to go now, coming up to 14. So it's the tail end of the season. So I'm really looking forward to how that works. Tony, what's your closing comments?
Enjoy your week, guys. We'll see you on Wednesday night, hopefully.
Excellent. And what's your closing comments, Gary?
Yeah, happy for the victory. Everyone have a good week and forward to Everton. And let's go get another 3 points.
And Ebony?
Yeah, we're going to get 3 points on Wednesday. Our game in hand. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. And we're going to win the league.
And happy birthday to me on Monday as well.
Yes, happy birthday to you on Monday.
Yeah.